republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any public comment tonight? Not. Well, with that, we're going to move straight into our school plans. So I have a nice handy-dandy agenda for tonight. So we're going to start with Tessa and Linda Park.
Well, thank you all for having us here today. We appreciate sharing our amazing schools with you. We'll be really quick because there's a couple things I do want to share at the end with you, some fun activities that Linda Park is going to be presenting and hosting. We would like to invite you to, so I want to make sure I have time for that. So we want to go over our MAP scores really quick. As you can see with our diagram here, the diamond shape is our national norm. We were less than 20 points in reaching on basically all of it. So our kindergarten was 8 points away from meeting the national norm. Third grade was 11 points from meeting our national norm. It was at 183 and we were at 182. So in second grade, it took us 16 points that we were away from the national norm. So what we did is we kind of did some reshuffling of some teachers and moved some teachers around to kind of see if that's going to make a difference this year. So we're super excited to see if there's growth in our ELA and math. And then if you look at the math NWA, we are 10 points from the national norm. So we were at 146 in kindergarten. The 146 was the national norm and we went to 150. So we were above by 4 points. And the national norm in first grade was 163, we're at 162. So as you can see, we are very close to meeting the national norm at Lindo Park and we're super stoked. When it comes to our statewide assessments, that is where it looks like we are kind of stagnant. So what we're doing, a lot of the staff's a little disappointed because we're doing so well in our maps. And with the maps, we're seeing 3 different times, like a dipstick of assessments, and we're seeing our students grow every single time. But with this CASP assessment, it's not showing the growth that we are making. However, what we're going to do is looking at our goals again, 1 and 2, during our goal setting day, we're going to kind of see how and what we need to hit harder this coming year to see how we can kind of improve our CASP scores. And then looking at our CHICS data, 81% was perceived school safety and 62% was school connectedness. What we've been doing is involving more of our students on club campuses, so it's our clubs during the day and our clubs after school. We are now adding, we have had Encore and now we're adding a math club to kind of increase our math scores, along with our after school sports, our drama club, and we added basketball club and jump rope club for our kiddos. And our attendance is at 94%. We're super excited about how high it is. A lot of our students who come, they come late. However, what we're doing actually, which we are going to invite you on the 29th, we are going to pop in on time before the bell rings and they will earn a surprise. So every student that is here on time will get a surprise on Monday the 29th. So we're super excited. They don't know what it is, but they're just, it's a ring pop, but you know. And then finally, our EL and our reclassified designated students. We have a 1/4 of our students are EL students, and we actually just enrolled a family of 6 from Saudi Arabia and speak 0 English. So looking at our reclassified, there's only 10 students who were able to reclassify. So we're still working hard with our designated ELD, which is in every single classroom, including my TK through 5th, with this 30 minutes of designated ELD time in every classroom. And they're using their WIN, they're working with their grade level PDs and the grade level PLCs. And we're also doing alignment within our grade levels to kind of discuss those students who are going to be moving up or moving down. And then they group their students on the best needs what the students need in the classroom at the time. And then for our parents, we are doing PK at our site, which is the parenting classes. A lot of parents were super excited. We just sent it out this last week to our parents with the dates, and we had a huge amount of parents ask about it and want to know more about it. So again, please come to those events that we have at Lindo Park. We're hosting bingo night in October, and we would like to see you on our campuses.
when you can. Thank you. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions for Krista?
Yeah, I'm just thanking your hard work. This is great.
Thanks, Amy. All right, Tiger and Lakeview, you're up.
Hey. Okay, so you can see up there our NWA math score data is right around the national norms. Cutting over right to the CAST scores, we have 57% for English Language Arts and 50% for math. Those are about what we've been at for a while. I'm a little frustrated with the mathematics one because third grade was 61%, fourth grade was 55%, and our fifth grade dropped down to 36%. And we're not sure exactly what happened there. That is our big focus, is trying to figure out what in the world happened there. Because I've been in those classrooms, there are 5 strong teachers, but it just doesn't, something's not translating to that. So that is our main big focus, is that one right there. Because if they'd even reached 50% like everyone did the year before, we'd be up to 57%. So that's where we're gonna focus there. Our attendance rate, we got up to 95.8%. That's pretty darn good, I think. And our biggest achievement was EL students, the DELD. We're kind of hovering at 30% improvement for like many years, and then last year we went to 45%, which is a 50% increase in the number of students that increased their grade level, or not grade level, but DELD level. All right. We're going to continue to do math transformations and CGI. SDSU is coming out 6 times on campus this year. That's a big, and hopefully the 5th grade they can get that up, because like I said, I don't know. So, any questions?
Does anybody have questions for Tiger? I did get to meet saw your music on.
Yes.
We got to
Oh, yeah.
meet your music teacher.
We did. That
Yeah.
was great.
She was lovely.
She is amazing. She's the best hire I've had in a while. I've had a lot of good hires. Yeah, she's excellent.
She was even playing music when we walked
She
in.
was, it was great music.
Yeah, she was a little disappointed that not many people showed up to her room, but at back to not back to school night, but the other one, open house, we had a lot of people through there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the year they know. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, Jennifer with Lemon Crest.
They're making fun of me because I have no notes page. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share what's been going on at Lemon Crest, including our school plan for student achievement. My name is Jen Price. I am the principal at Lemon Crest. Our 3 goals are a continuation of the foundation that we've been building over these last several years. So academic improvement. Academically, our focus for growth continues in literacy, math, and English language development. Last year, 29% of our students met or exceeded standards in ELA, and 20% met or exceeded in math. We are incredibly proud of those numbers, and we know that there's still a lot of work to be done. So we want to continue to set our goal high. Our goal is by June of 2026 that we're hoping to raise those numbers by 5%, increase English learner reclassification by 5%, and reduce new special education referrals by 3%. We've been working really hard to utilize our district's SST protocols, implementing strategies and interventions, monitoring data and progress, so that way we can continue to make those really great future informed decisions for our students' success. We're doing a lot of things in that bucket of academic achievement, using our targeted interventions, instructional apps, our district and site adopted curriculum such as Expeditionary Learning, Imagine, Achieve, Reflex Math, and our designated ELD time. Our staff are working with students in setting goals for themselves with DIBELS, NWEA map data, as well as students' individual goals that they're setting for themselves. We continue to use a data wall in our PLC room to track data and discuss instructional strategies. And our MTSS TOSA, Carrie Suggett and I are working now this year on how best to provide instructional coaching for both our new and more experienced educators. Our second SPSA goal is around social emotional well-being and student safety. This year, our school-wide theme is planting possibilities. I'm excited because last year didn't have a theme, and so we're building on every year. Each classroom received a book called The Curious Garden by Peter Brown, and so we're threading this theme into class lessons, morning announcements, grade level gatherings, all school assemblies, and the idea is that Like a garden, our students thrive when they're nurtured with care and consistency. We're working to strengthen our students' sense of belonging and safety through our MTSS efforts, including our whole school PBIS efforts of our ROAR expectations: respectful, on task, always safe, and responsible. With our new school counselor, Teresa Fa, we've expanded our Tier 1 SEL supports for all classrooms to include weekly SEL tips in our announcements, more classroom lessons, and school-wide attendance challenges and celebrations. We're using programs like Second Step, Peaceful Playgrounds, our Student Leadership Council, Lost and Found Helpers, Cub Crew, all of those things that we're doing that support that work. And by the end of this school year, our goal is to reduce suspensions and office referrals by 20% and increase our positive office referrals by 20%. We're also hoping to increase the participation rate. Our CHICS data it feels a little bit skewed because it's only 49% of our kids that we were able to get the participating in it, so that's going to be a big focus this year. One thing I'm really excited about, knock on wood, by this time last year we had several major office referrals, and I'm really excited that as of today, it was different yesterday, but as of today we've had 3 major office referrals. So that shows me that all of our hard work and our SEL efforts are really paying off. And finally, our third SPSA goal is attendance improvement, which continues to be an area for us to keep focusing. Last year, our chronic absenteeism was at 8%, and our average daily attendance rate was 92.3. And so we're hoping by this year to reduce absenteeism to 7% and increase that daily positive attendance to 95%. We're proud of our percentages of our attendance because we know that our kids and our families work really hard every day to overcome barriers to be able to get their kiddos to school on time every day. And finally, we're supporting this through positive attendance recognition, shout outs on the announcements, family outreach and home visits, and organizing fun school events on days where we've historically seen those higher absences. Spirit days, all school assemblies, and future events like Lunch on the Lawn, the return of the Festival of the Arts, which I'm really excited about. We'll continue to keep bringing our community together and keep our students excited to be at Lemon Crest every day and on time. So to conclude, our community is committed to growing both the academic success and social emotional well-being of every one of our Lions. With planting possibilities as our guiding theme, our SPSA provides a clear path to help our students feel safe, thrive academically, and show up every day ready to learn. I'd like to personally invite you all to come to Lemon Crest this year to see the hard work and the growth that is happening. Thank
you. Would you say that the participation in the CHICS survey is connected to just the day that you administer it and attendance, or is it just that people, the families don't want to administer it, or?
Possibly both. I know that's one of the reasons that we're bumping it back a little bit earlier, the window for the CHICS data or the CHICS survey to happen. So, and hopefully we'll be able to get more. We're also starting to start our initiative for getting more kids to do it and get those permission slips back. That was a little tricky as well. Family engagement continues to be something that we're working really hard at Lemon Crest, and I think that's a piece of it. So I think there's several layers, but we're hoping to just build it out a little bit because it's such important data that we need to, make our informed decisions. So fingers crossed it's at least 51.
In order to participate in the Healthy Kids Survey, they need a permission from the parent?
Yes.
Yeah, active in elementary, and I believe you do passive in middle school.
Oh. Yeah, that can make it challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Greenwell. I'm the proud principal of Riverview International Academy, Southern California's premier Mandarin and Spanish immersion school.
I'm Carolyn Hood, our proud assistant principal. And we're going to go over our SPSA for both our Riverview campus and our Winter Gardens campus. Thank you.
Yeah, so starting with the data, there's a lot of data on here that we've looked at to build our school plan for student achievement, and some of the pieces of data that you don't see on here include the growth between our CAS scores that for the 2023-2024 school year, our students in grades 3 through 5 scored 64.29% meeting or exceeding the standard. And this past year, we scored 69.13%. So that was a nice increase. And then in 23-24, we scored, our 3rd through 5th graders together scored 54.12% proficient or advanced met or exceeded on the standard. And this past year, we saw an increase to 57.96%. I have other metrics also. Our LPAC data went up from 20% proficient to 38.89% proficient, and our CAST, our science test, went up from 48.65% to 55% proficient. So we've seen gains in all areas, and this is what the data that we've included on this one-pager shows. It demonstrates that we're on track to either meeting that national standard or exceeding it in all grade levels. We're most especially proud of our Avant Stamp data. As Southern California's premier Mandarin and Spanish immersion school, our students in 2nd and 5th grade take an assessment on their target language abilities in both Mandarin and Spanish. And we were really proud to see that our students did very well in both 2nd grade and 5th grade, and in both programs, Spanish and Mandarin. In fact, we saw not only high achievement across all the 4 domains, but we saw that 60% of our Spanish 5th graders and 76% of our Mandarin 5th graders scored met or exceeded in all 4 domains. So that tells us that our students are on track to receive that biliteracy seal from the state of California. So we're very, very proud of the achievement. We're doing a lot of things to support this achievement and growth in our school community by building a really positive school culture through our common courtesies and our district student profile, daily morning messages. Our Mustang Mercantile PBIS system is helping to reinforce positive character traits and intellectual habits that we know will be the key to success in the future for our students. We're also really proud of the teacher collaboration and coaching model that we're building. We're setting aside some really intentional time for teachers to do data analysis, looking at student work protocols, as well as we're doing a book study on creating a culture of thinking, the 8 successful forces that allow for students to be successful based on the research of Roger Chart. So that's one of the things that we're doing to support. Basically, we're providing students what they need, when they need it, how they need it, by providing a lot of intentional, targeted instruction throughout the school day across all grade levels to address our academics goals. For Goal 2, social emotional well-being, I've already mentioned some of the lower level structures that we have in place. We're continuing to emphasize campus supervisor training to help maintain a safe and positive environment, as well as other programs to increase communication and supports to families. We work really closely with Patty, Dr. Patty Hernandez, and the department here at the district to help support students and families that are struggling. For Goal 3, we're focusing on innovation and engagement, increasing music, art, and STEAM opportunities for our students, and continuing to provide rigorous learning experiences for our families. And we want to do better at promoting those rigorous learning experiences for our families so that parents and our community know what's happening at our school. And Ms. Hood will be talking about Goal 4.
And for Goal 4 with language proficiency, we're building on what we're doing with our dual language immersion model and continuing to add the 3rd language option for enrichment, which continues to be something that we hear through SSC, ELAC, PTSA that draws our parents to our community so that students have that option to have the 3rd language also. So that's our FLEX program for a 3rd language in addition to our target language support.
And so we would like to invite you all to our upcoming events. We have our first PTSA General Association meeting on October 1st at Riverview campus, and we'll be hosting a bingo with the principal at that time. You'd be most welcome to attend. We also have our annual Multicultural Fall Festival at our Winter Gardens campus on October 18th from 3 to 7 p.m. We hope to see you there, and thank you for your continued support of our school. Are there any questions?
Any questions? All right, thank you
Thank
so
you very much.
All right, Lakeside Farms, Jim Rupp.
take you backwards. I'm going to take you backwards to this. We'll start with our goals on the second page, and then you'll see why we went with these goals. So we're looking for academic growth. We know that we're in a school to help our students achieve academically and become the biggest whole student they can be. So 3 goal areas, we're looking at academic growth. 5% is just a starting point. We hope for more. And then we're really looking at students getting connected to school, wanting to come to school, which ties into attendance, and then building relationships on our campus. And then our third area is really vested in Prop 28 funds. We're lucky enough to have a full-time, I call her an art docent, where she comes in and does lessons throughout multiple classrooms, as well as revamping our garden. Our garden program, we had a grant originally that it started with, and now I have a couple teachers who are going to take the lead on reproducing our garden and tying it into other areas within our school. We were called Lakeside Farms, so we need to keep that connection of the farmhouse. So if you look at the other page, and we're looking at some data here. Looking at the right-hand side, 94.3% attendance rate, that's our daily average. We're off to a higher start this school year. I think I looked last week and we were 96.5, which is a good start. And most importantly, our youngest students, our TK students and kindergarten students have great attendance to start the school year. And that's usually a challenge, especially in TK, but I'll attribute that to our team and the relationships that they built prior to summer. We invited our TK families to campus to get to know the school, as well as what the expectations are and what they need to do to be prepared. And then our staff did that same thing and welcomed them again before school started. The Healthy Kids Survey, that is a small snapshot. I always emphasize that. We're looking at just 5th graders and how they feel on a particular day. So to Board Member Hayes' point, that's one day, you don't really know what you're gonna get, but it's a small snapshot of a 6th or 7th of your school. But we are looking at perceived school safety. That's a big one, because what is the student's perception? What one student feels makes them safe at campus may not relate to other students. So really digging in, having those conversations as to why they might feel that way. Maybe they just had a bad experience, coming onto campus one day, or they had an interaction on the playground. So really trying to get to the heart of the why, and why they're feeling, just why they're coming that way or why they might feel that way. So a lot of that is conversations. Myself, our counselor, we have a military counselor who supports us as well, but building the rapport amongst the staff to ask those types of questions and not just have it on a survey early in the year. Looking at our data, I want to show you just what I use for my own sanity when we look at these numbers. I like to look at year to year. So when you see the graph on your top right is a graph of students who met or exceeded the standards over this last school year, so it's just 3rd through 5th grade. But what I have is looking at the last 4 years. So if you work up, I want to tell the story of the students from grade to grade. So last year's 5th graders, for example, on the top line, 50% met or exceeded. When they were in 4th grade, 24% met or exceeded in language arts. So that's growth of 26%. So a fourth of our students made those gains in language arts. So then my question is, well, why is that? And traditionally, our 5th grade students in language arts have really made good gains, specifically in language arts. And I attribute that to our program and really doing book studies in conjunction with our curriculum. Math tells a similar story. If you look at on the bottom, 22-23, 38% of our students were met or exceeded standards, but then when they became 4th graders in 23-24, it dropped to 20, and last year's 5th graders grew to 21. So that's a story that brings up a concern in 4th grade. So we've called attention to it as a staff. There has been a slide in 4th grade. It's a Lakeside Farms challenge. It's also a challenge amongst many of our schools. But why is that? So we're looking at the why in our plan, what we're going to do. We had some staffing shifts within that grade level, but also giving the supports to do extra and go take a different path and try something different to really reach that population and diving into what happens in 4th grade differently than maybe 5th grade. So that's where we're at, and then you have the MAPS data on the top left, and Lakeside Farms kind of hovers on the national norm. So, any questions?
Thank you for this. This is very helpful.
And we do have a school carnival
Appreciate
on
this.
the 18th, but everyone's always more than welcome to come check us out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, TDS with Leslie and Paula.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Paula Macias, and I am the proud vice principal at Terra del Sol Middle School. Dr. Hardiman would have loved to be here, but she is currently moving her daughter into college dorm. So I'm very proud to share all the information about TDS, where we're now and where we are headed. So this past school year, as you can see with the data, our school has seen some exciting signs of progress in academics, in attendance, and student growth. It also does reflect there are definitely some areas that we are hoping that we can do better, and you will see that our goals reflect exactly the work that we're doing to continue to grow. So today I want to highlight where we're seeing momentum and how our goals are aligned to keep that growth going for every student. For our California Healthy Kids Survey, you'll notice that our students are feeling that we hold them to high expectations, with 69% of our students feeling that high expectation. 52% of our students feel that they do have a caring adult connection on campus. I believe that is due to our work with CREW and making sure that every student has the opportunity to connect with one of our many electives that we offer at TDS, as well as opportunities to connect with different teachers on campus. For our NWEA MAPS data, it does show that we are either at national norms for reading, and at math we are close to national norms. When we were looking at CAS data, you will notice that there are areas of growth, but we decided to dive deeper and see why MAPS and CAS are telling us two different stories. And so we looked at each and every one of our students, and what we noticed is that there was incredible growth happening. So yes, students did not really move within bands, but each student grew significantly. For example, in ELA, 64% of our 7th grader scores increased, with 25 of those students growing more than 100 points. 80% of our 8th grader scores increased, and 40 students grew more than 100 points. For math, 53% of our 7th grader scores increased, with 13 students growing more than 100 points, and 68% of our 8th grader scores increased, with 22 students growing more than 100 points. So a lot of our work is now focused on making sure that we see this growth reflected in our statewide scores. So if we jump into our goals are aligned to support continued growth in all of these areas. For example, our goal 1 is aimed at increasing the use of inclusive teaching practices in our classroom by 50%. We are leading great work at TDS on our inclusive teaching practices, specifically with our co-teaching model. It is our aim that we are allowing all students access to general curriculum and offer individualized support within the general education classroom, because it is our goal to meet the diverse learning of our students in a supportive environment. And speaking of supportive environment, we continue our work with goal 2, which is to continue to strengthen our already amazing PBIS system. We have GLOW at TDS, and you'll see it reflected across campus. We teach it from day 1 about all of our students know what it means to be a TDS Sun Devil, because we want to make sure that TDS, our students glow in our community, that they show up either to community events, that they are on our campus, but wherever they are a representation of what a TDS student is, and that we glow everywhere. In addition, goal 3 focuses on continuing our cross-curricular work, and goal 4 and 5 is all about our partnership with parents and increasing attendance. Both of these goals really go hand in hand, because it talks about how much we are invested in building opportunities for our parents to have a voice on our campus, for them to represent what it looks like at TDS, For example, we have already led community listening sessions. Our parents come to these meetings and they have the opportunity to speak with us. We can share a little bit about what we're doing, but at the same time, it is all for our parents to share with us what they would like to see, what they like, what they would hope for, and it is an opportunity to build upon that partnership. And we would love to have you there so that you can hear what our parents are saying. And lastly, if we increase partnership with our parents, we know that our attendance will increase significantly, which is why we set our goal 5 to reduce chronic absenteeism by 25%, because at the end of the day, if our students are not on campus, they're not learning. And so we want them there, and we're providing a lot of opportunities for them to be present, and we are working with our families to do so. So at the end of the day, the story our data tells is one of progress as well as unfinished work. We're moving in the right direction. Our students are growing, our attendance is strong, and momentum is building. That is a key word. With the goals we've set for this year, we're committed to turning the growth into sustained achievement and stronger outcomes for all students. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions? Have you guys had a parent engagement meeting yet?
We had our first one, yes, and I will send more information about the second one coming up. We try to do one in the morning and one in the evening each month, so we're able to make sure that all parents are well represented. Yes.
Oh, that's great. What's the feedback so far? I know it's really good.
Of course. They're really happy about our PBIS. They're really happy that we have a restorative campus, that we're able to teach students and help them grow. They were very happy about our back to school events, that we were able to help our 6th graders really head into middle school and not feel super stressed out about it. They did have questions about our immersion programs. They're really interested in providing feedback to, for example, younger students or families that are interested in continuing in the Mandarin immersion program. So there was a lot of interest and questions about those 2 things.
Great. Thank you for that. It's really great to know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just have one question on goal 1. What is an inclusive teaching practice?
So there's many different kinds, but for example, one of the biggest things that we try to do is that we're providing support in the classroom by having a general education teacher as well as an ed specialist teacher. So they're both working together to provide support either for a gen ed student as well as a student with an IEP. Other things that we are implementing is that each grade level is working together to ensure that they're teaching the same vocabulary words. They've had mutual agreements, for example, on working with their interactive notebooks, so making sure that students know how to do note-taking, that they're referring back to their notes, and just making sure that we're all aligned and doing the same practices across the board.
Okay, and then so how, if you're gonna increase it by 50%, how do you track that?
We do, our PLC work is consistently based on making sure that we are having those conversations with our teachers, making sure that we're tracking, that we're providing work samples, as well as opportunities for the teachers to work together to ensure that they are meeting these agreed upon strategies.
So it's like a number.
I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's like a co-teaching thing, right? Where there's 2 teachers. I saw this yesterday because I went through the classrooms. I saw the back to school night, but I saw the 2. I noticed the difference. There were 2 teachers. I'm going, well, what is this? And I was going to ask the superintendent, going, hey, that's different. So now I know. So thanks for asking. But it's like I know it's not co-teaching. It's different, but that's the way I thought of it.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Of course, no problem. And we're happy to have everyone on our campus so that you can see it firsthand for yourself. Anytime, we're happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, LMS, Mike and Jim.
Just kidding. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Mike Dodson. I am the principal at Lakeside Middle School. I am the newest member of this bunch. Unfortunately, I was not at LMS last year, so in terms of how these goals were created and the data and all the effort and energy that went into them, I can't speak to why. However, there's tangible information in front of us that's very easy to look at that I can speak to the efforts that we are utilizing currently to try and bring these things to the task. So I'm going to segment it, and I'm very loud, so I'm going to step away from this a little bit. So I'm going to segment this. So in looking at the MAPS data, when it comes to English, we're on par nationally with where everyone else is. When you look at our CAS scores for English, 52% met or achieved or met or exceeded standards. That's fantastic. When it comes to math, there is a greater deficit in that area. So when we go to our goals, both of the academic goals read the same. We're looking for 10% growth in our RIT scores for math and in our RIT scores for English. Now, in math specifically, well, across the board academically, one thing that I'm looking to do as a new principal at this school is really dive deep into the PLC process. So going to these meetings and seeing what teachers are talking about, seeing how they're correlating their work, and seeing how they're teaming in order to bring about best practices. One of the goals on here, or one of the outcomes of the goals, is having teacher-built assessments, so common formative assessments. So it's a great way to measure data points among common curricular areas. And these are things that are not currently in place. So it is a goal area, it is something that we're working on, but we are still, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of moving towards, and I'm moving slow, as not to scare everybody off the campus. But that is one area that we absolutely are going to tackle by the end of the year in terms of having set practices in place where teachers are currently meeting in these PLCs, but it's not tight enough in terms of just 6, just 7, just 8, big groups of people meeting and kind of talking grossly about what's going on in classrooms, and that's not specific enough to target the needs that we have with these kids. So that is an area that we're going to target it based on our goal and strategic actions. When you look at the chicks, and it's been talked about quite a bit in terms of what these numbers mean. One thing that hasn't been said yet is that this title, Perceived School Safety, is a conglomerate of about 10 questions. So there's a lot of input that goes into that one percentage, and there's a lot of questions that are answered that go into that. But ultimately, as a new principal, one of the things that I'm trying to change, not necessarily the face of the school, but the energy of the school. So my parents' more that's going out, my coffee with the principal meetings, all these acts are to try and create more engagement from the parents to create more engagement from the kids. And our back to school night, when we did our intro with our theater, our show choir kids, fantastic event, we had the whole theater full. And so there was a lot of parents on campus, the buzz was really positive. So all in all, I feel like we are off to a great start this year in terms of engaging kids positively, in terms of engaging parents. And I think you'll see eventually the trickle down. So the attendance rate last year, 93.5. Currently we're at about 96%. And we have about 5 kids that are catastrophically, their attendance is just abysmal. But one of the things that I'm kind of considering is not necessarily targeting that top 5, but what about the next 40? That we can actually capture those kids, because they're coming to school, they're just not coming to school consistently. And getting those kids, in order to ramp that number, that percentage up, in order to ramp up that second one, school connectedness on the chicks, can we get the kids here? Can we get them buying in? Feeding teachers a lot of positivity, a lot of attaboys, a lot of you're doing a great job, because it is a great staff. And they are doing wonderful, excellent work with the kids. But the more they get those attaboys, the more they give them to the kids. So all that positivity eventually translates into better relationships between our teachers and their students. So we have a goal. Goal number 4 is creating more enrichment opportunities for kids. And so I've been communicating with our after-school program, creating more opportunities there. And the same thing kind of comes up as the funding piece. How do we fund these things and getting creative? Again, I'm still very new to Lakeside. I was actually just talking to Board President Moyer about this yesterday in terms of beg, borrow, how do I go solicit shamefully to the community in terms of getting more money to support the programs that we have, because we have a lot of great things going on at the school. And some of that work is getting kids, creating awareness. So I have things in place for semester 2, for our incoming 5th graders. You know, how can we advertise the school in the best way possible? So there's a lot of things on deck, but again, some of this is kind of slow going because I haven't been here for 5 years, and I don't have the complete trust of the staff to start, you know, running with a lot of the different initiatives. But a lot of these things we are currently taking a look at and working towards right now. So, any questions?
Any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I have a question, and I know you spoke to it briefly about the school safety survey of the kids. 56%. Do you have an idea, the pulse of how the children respond to this, and how do they, just the pulse of what they're feeling when they take this test, and you see the results, and it's 56%. I mean, what, I don't know.
Yeah, so again, this test was taken last year, so it's hard to speak to what exactly the school looked like, the climate looked like, but I can tell you, I mean, we all know, like, watching the TV and seeing how all the stuff that's happening in the news trickles down to our schools, trickles through these conversations. Maybe conversations are happening in the classroom. I can't speak to that again. I don't know what kids were hearing last year when the survey was taken, but the pulse of the nation kind of speaks to what's happening at our schools. Now, if you have a loud enough principal and a loud enough community, that sometimes it drowns that stuff out. They are engaged in what's happening at the school level, that some of the stuff that they're hearing in their homes or wherever, that noise just dissipates. For this here, perceived school safety, I mean, there was a lot of things happening last year that led to kids thinking like, am I safe to come to school, or am I gonna get picked up by somebody? And so, again, communicating that message to parents that, you know, we can, you know, your kids are here, there are certain things that we can keep them safe from, you know, the vaping issue, if that's things that parents are thinking about, we can talk about it and talk with the principal. What we're doing, what our plan is, our tardy sweeps, you know, all these things, and maybe it's a different voice that parents are hearing now. I'm curious to see what this looks like at the end of this year. But again, schools are a lot of times the pulse of the community. And, you know, we are all a slave to what's happening in the world around us, and sometimes it's hard to separate this type of survey or the data from the survey from the world around us, so.
Yeah, and I know we now sort of, if the term would be correct, entered sort of a reactionary period nationwide, not necessarily good. You know, so it's interesting to see next year what this would look like. And all schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you.
Any other questions?
Let's just thank you, all of you actually, for your focus on attendance. I know that makes our CBO happy, so thank you for doing that.
Last up is Brooke from Dream.
Save the least one for last. Okay, thank you for having us. So I love this, is where are we now? Because we're talking about that so much at Dream Academy right now. We are in our 4th year, and for the first time we have, this year when we started school, we have been able to like really hit the ground running and not onboarding so many new students, because every year we've been growing, and so last year in 2024 we finally were kind of the year before that, 2023-24, we had 77 students, and then we had 138 students, so we made like an 8% gain. So that's a lot of kids to bring in and to bring on your campus, K through 8. So we're not just bringing them in the other grades. And so now this year we have 142 students, so a lot of them are the same students. So
when we're looking at this data now, I'm excited because I feel like at some point I'll be able to give you one of those papers that Jim gave, because I will be confident that I know that those kids have been at Dream Academy and have, I know that our teachers have had them in their classes, and that the data is ours. When I've been looking at this, it's kind of like, yes, it's ours, but it's a lot of other schools too. And so now these kids, when we start getting these results, have been with us long enough that we're looking at the results for Dream Academy. So our MAPS data looks pretty good. In the ELA, we're at the national norms or above in all of our grades. And our math, not quite. And I don't know, it's quite interesting that the little one, that the 7th grade isn't there, because we actually have data, and I'm like, how did I miss that? I don't know, maybe just to draw your eye there. But it's actually 222, and they too were right at the national norm. But the interesting thing was, and their MAPS data shows that, but when you go to the CASP, it's not really. And our 8th grade in math only had 11% proficient in math, and that data doesn't show it. So there was something there. I think we had a lot of 8th grade drama, and I think it was just effort, but it affects everything else. But we're working on that, and so when you look at our student culture and climate survey, because we have such a small number of students, we actually don't get good chicks data. We can get some of the individual results, but they don't give you that cumulative percentage. So we do a lot of our own surveying of our children. We do one in fall, and we do one in spring. And so one of those things that's really important to us is that all of our kids have a trusted adult on campus, and then that they have positive peer relationships. Because we find that a lot of the students that have come to us have not had that in the past. They have not felt connected to their school, they haven't had those people, and they've just not had a good experience where they've come from. So we work a lot on making sure that our kids feel that our attendance rate, so it looks absolutely amazing, 99.3, and that is because of our master agreement that we have. So all of our students are on independent study. And so when they are not there, they do homeschool. They do flex spurt, and then we have a lot of things that go with it, but they have to do it on the day. If they're truly sick, they don't, but if they're out, they're not feeling that well, it gives us the chance to keep them involved in school and doing their work, so that when they're not there, when they come back, they haven't completely missed out on all of their stuff, especially if they're gone a couple days because they have sore throats, fevers, whatever it is. So we've been able to really concentrate on that. We have to do a lot of our own attendance tracking because of our master schedule, so it doesn't work in the A2A. But we still are, even though our kids in the ADA, we're getting the funds, we still track them and make sure that they're coming on campus. And if they're not, we're following all of those same procedures, making sure that we're giving the letters and doing those, because we still want our kids on campus. With the PBL school, you need to be there. And most of our kids really want to be there, and their parents are like, they want to come to school, but they have a fever, they have this. So the flex work kind of gives them the opportunity to be able to stay there. So to get to where we are, our goals are to really focus on the whole child. We really need to make our kids feel comfortable on our campus and start being able to feel like they can be successful in school again. And so we do that with our academic and our academic strategies. This year we're starting the UFI, and we're excited about that. And to increase our math scores, we worked with math transformations last year, but my school wasn't a part of the work that the district did. But I introduced them to all of the performance tasks and the things that, all of that hard work, and they're very excited about that. And we're going to continue to work with the math transformations to kind of get that going and get our teachers on board with that. And hopefully we'll see an increase, especially if they start working on the performance tasks in our CASP data. And then our other goal is, again, that sense of belonging and positive peer relationships, because when kids feel connected, they do better. And then our last one, of course, has to be the project-based learning goal, because we are a project-based learning school. And the thing with project-based learning is it works on those soft skills, communication, teamwork, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, which eventually goes into their career and their career pathways and into their ability to get jobs. Any questions?
Mr. Brown?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, with that, we are looking for approval as requested of the LUSD school plans for student achievement for the 2025-2026 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nolan. Any discussion on this? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so that passes. And then we have our first reading and adoption for policy 5021, non-custodial parents. That's real quick. So.
Thank you all, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate your hard work.
So we, at the last meeting, looked at this, we revised it in live time, and then we asked that Kate, legal look it over. So the note I got from legal was, when we looked at this issue in the past, there was no specific case or law preventing the district from requiring that a caregiver affidavit be notarized, nor has the issue been litigated to our knowledge. But if challenged, the requirement for notarization likely would not withstand judicial scrutiny because of the prohibition against pupil fees, as it imposes a financial burden that could be deemed an unlawful charge for educational access. So due to that, I did pull the little section of the affidavit must be notarized, but we added a clause then at the end that said, if parent, guardian, or other authorized adults are not able to be reached, the district shall not release the student, and law enforcement or child welfare services shall be contacted. So that is what is in front of you right now. So we are looking for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend this to place the caregiver affidavit notarization back in,
Okay.
into the policy. So that's my motion.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. All right, any discussion on this?
No, the only reason, I'm so glad that you asked. I think that that we asked legal. I think that the key point here is to address the concerns of the broadness of AB 495. The notarization piece is very important for the caregiver affidavit to address the concerns as well. So, to me, if there is a legal, again, I would debate that point because I think there's a defensible argument. So, for us to do that, because it's not, we're not saying you can't get an education by notarizing, we're saying you can't take the kid because of the notary, so, without being notarized. So I think that there's nuance there that and there has been litigation, so that's my motion.
Any other discussion? No? All right, all in favor of passing it?
Aye.
Okay, and opposed, then that will move forward with the revisions. And with that, is there anything else that needs to come before the board meeting? Anything? Nope. All right, well with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 5:53.
Not a historically short meeting, but almost. Jim did.
Yeah.
We did one, more than we did